Oh yeah, Cameron.
Yeah, thanks. I think I want to return a bit of sensible balance to this conversation because I feel as though it's getting a little heated. So, firstly, the point Lily made about families coming in all sorts of different shapes and sizes was exactly the point I was going to make. So that's brilliant. But the other point I have to make, and I just want to weigh in a bit on these characteristics conversation, because if you do look, there are obviously biological differences between men and women, and personality characteristics are obviously in part orchestrated by the differing hormones. So there is biological sense in Pearce's argument, but I think he's taking it a little bit far. At the same time, it's perfectly fine for guys to have a feminine side, and it's perfectly fine for girls to have a more masculine side. I mean, I don't see why we are trying to push people into certain pools of characteristics. It's just not the reality, because there are plenty of men who have more feminine hormones as well, and these are differences. So there are actually biological differences between the two, but there are also biological similarities. So if you're going to try and put out the argument that they are different because they have different personality characteristics, I don't buy into that at all. Because if you actually look at the proper biology, there are many characteristics and many hormones, for example, that are shared between both men and women that can present these kinds of circumstances that we're talking about.
Yeah, there's both. It's testosterone and estrogen, isn't it?
Okay, I'll go to Tommy, but I just want to say thanks to Cameron and Lily for making my points and making them sound actually cohesive. Tommy.
I'm about to go into about some stats, which I understand that might not be the most thing in the world, but I think it's important to get the message out, which some people don't obviously take a look into. I think Felix has probably seen most of these because me and him have had quite a few fair debates on these. Right, here we go. Men are at the end of most double standards. I think we covered that at the start. 97% of combat fatalities, they pay 97% of alimony. They make 95% of work suicides, 93% work fatalities, 81% of war deaths, and are 90% more likely to be drafted at young ages, which I think it might be links back a little bit to the biological discussion we were just having in class biology lesson. They lose custody of 84% divorces, some of which I respect may be justified. However, most of them, if we look into recent years, have been quite biased. I think it would be fair to say. 80% of suicides, 77% of homicides victims, 89% of men will be victims of violent crime, over twice as victimized by strangers as women, 171% more likely to be convicted, and they get 63% longer sentences for the exact same crime, which don't take this out of context or the wrong way, but it apparently is 6 times bigger than the racial bias. They're less likely to be accepted into universities for receiving the same grades as their female counterparts. They face more corporal punishments, 80% of homeless people. Women's cancers receive 15 times more funding. 10% of fathers are victims of paternity fraud. 47% of domestic abuse victims will receive only 0.6% of the support. Well, they live about 5.1 years less, which again, I guess can go back to the biology lesson we just had. Higher cancer death rates, higher unemployment rates, circumcision remains legal, no gender exclusive scholarships, and something I just want to get out is that men's rights activists are not about misogyny, but equality. Like, we're hoping to get these issues more into the public eye, which some people don't see as valid or mostly just cast under the carpet. And I think Felix shared a video a few weeks back of an MP who was ridiculed for requesting a men's mental health minister, mostly by, again, those that didn't conduct much research on the points that I've just stated.
Well, actually, I want to respond to the point about the video that I shared the other day. It was actually of a person asking for a men's minister, not a men's mental health minister, which I would
Right.
I would support a men's mental health minister, and I think that is really important. But most of the majority of those statistics tie into this idea of toxic masculinity, which the feminist movement is also trying to take on. So, but I think there is a real image problem with men's rights activists, and rightly so, because a lot of them are incels who actually do not like women because they because they aren't able to like get a girlfriend. So they get a very bad rep, and for good reasons, because there have been incidents where these people have attempted to bomb or kill women. So there is a good reason why men's rights activists are frowned upon. Who was that? Ben.
I just want to say a few things about his earlier points. I think saying that men need to be masculine is one example of kind of like a societal dogma, stigma around a sex agenda, and one that is perhaps in many ways too rigid, and we need to open that up to allow to be more inclusive, more allow more people their expressions and their personalities. And I think that relates back to the feminine movement on the other side, because it one thing is important to kind of put these kind of stereotypes, these rigid stereotypes at bay, and make sure that our society is inclusive as possible, so that we can include as many personalities as we can.